everyone. I'm so grateful that you decided to spend your valuable time today to listen to my topic on deconstruct the fear of failure and rejection, especially when I know there are so many other options out there for you. As you can see in this picture, a small boy raising his hands happily. I was unlike him. I was always that shy little girl who was so reluctant to raise my hands even if a question was asked because I was afraid. I was so reluctant, even if I know the answer, I was so reluctant. Okay, the fear was holding me back. So today I'm so excited to talk on this topic because this is very close to me and I can share it and share and talk a lot about from my personal experience. But let me just say from the beginning that like most of the people out here, I also deal with the fear of rejection or fear of failure. But if I am standing in front of you today and presenting, it doesn't mean that I don't have or I am born with the fear, born with fearlessness. It's because I am applying the strategies to overcome this fear and to be more resilient. And today I'm going to share with you some tools and techniques and the essential strategies which you can apply to overcome this. And it is so important to address this because if we don't address the fear, it will sabotage your relationship, your happiness, and your career progression. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to act in spite of the fear. Let me quickly check the Hopin window if you are typing something because, okay, fine. So you're seeing my screen and everything is fine because when I can see only my PPT and I don't see the chat window, so I just quickly go back and see. So let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Nimmy Nemlin and I have 11 plus years of experience in software industry and I'm working as an IT product owner in BMW, Munich. And outside of work, I love to bake, I love cycling, I love networking with my friends, and also networking with like-minded people, and I love traveling. And I live here in Munich with my 4-year-old son and my husband, which you can see in the pic. And there is a reason why I have put this pic, which I'll explain to you later. So, and I hope this session will be useful to at least some of you who struggle with the fear of failure or who have recently experienced failure or rejection. So let's dive in. Okay, the fear of failure. No matter who you are or where you are from, everyone will experience fear to a certain extent. And I also face it. Fear of failure is one of the biggest fear we humans face. And it is closely related to the fear of rejection and also the fear of criticism. How many of you have missed tremendous opportunities and experiences because you were afraid to do so? Because you were afraid of the uncertainty. Yeah, I did. I hope you have guys have also did that. Okay, I see. I'm just checking the chat in between. Yeah, it is that we always hold to our self-limiting belief on what we can achieve in life. For example, when I was working with Cognizant, one of my friends suggested my name for anchoring for an event, and I was reluctant. I said, no, I'm not good enough for this. But I said, okay, maybe I should have given it a try. But years later, last year, I was given another opportunity and I did it. Okay, I thought, okay, I did it and it was not so bad as I thought it was. So many of us have that periods of life where we feel stuck and where we are afraid to do something because we feel that we may not be successful at it. We have that fear, and that is completely understandable. And before we get into the tools and techniques and tips that help us encounter the fear of failure, let us look why such fear exists. But why? Yeah. Because it is a normal brain function and we inherit it from our ancestors to react to the situation of uncertainty. And the reason why so many people hold themselves back is because of the uncertainty around the outcome. We don't know if we will fail or succeed. So there is always a risk of failure. But the reality is, those who take risks are more successful. And the situation is a situation of unknown or uncertainty, which we inherently struggle with. We find it so stressful that we want to avoid it. But think, our brain is so wired that way, and our emotional limbic brain is so hardwired to react with fear. And when some uncertainty or unknown comes, and why do we do so? Because it is to protect ourselves from threat, from failure. So when something won't work out, we become paralyzed or stagnant, we become stuck, and we don't want to try out new things or come out of our comfort zone. And the fact is, the fear of failure isn't about the fear of failure itself. The main reason why we fear failure is because of the negative emotions associated with the emotional pain that we think we will experience. It is often because how we think others will think of us, their negative assessments, their judgments. It's the shame and humiliation. So we take it all on ourselves. We magnify it in our mind and we try to avoid it. We focus too much on it. And this is the hard cold truth that we emphasize too much on it. And where does this fear of failure actually come from? Most likely, it is because of the earliest experiences, maybe from 1 to 7 years, when you were a kid, when you were forming your sense of self, and based on the relationship you had with your parents and friends. And the fun fact is, it is actually called atysiphobia, as you can see already in the screen. And it is often the result of life experiences that causes deep-rooted thought that the worst thing that you can do is to fail or get rejected. But next time you encounter with some fear, just remember that your brain is working properly. Your limbic brain is working properly. So now let's look into some of the essential strategies or tips which I have for you to overcome this fear of failure or rejection. Let me quickly go into the chat window. Okay, good. Just to check if there are any questions. So the first step which I have for you is face your fear and reframe rejection. So there is no magic pill, but the main key element to eliminate fear is to face your fear. If you want to conquer the fear, do what you are afraid to do. If you continue to do what you are afraid to do over and over again, you won't be afraid anymore. Believe me, the fear level will come down and down and down. Remember, nobody starts anything perfect. You just have to start at some point in your life. You will never be ready. And I want you to encourage to start taking action. Get into the game, do the dare. Because you have to start at some point. You will never be ready. And I still remember when I had to get into the stage, speak or perform back in my school days, I was so nervous. I still remember when they call upon my name, I just go to the stage. And before getting into the stage, I go to toilet multiple times. Oh my God, my hands were so shaky and I was so scared. And when they call my name, I do whatever it is, what I had to do, and I give my best. And let me tell you, every time I got off that stage, I felt like I did it. It was, after all, not so bad as I thought it would be. So, I want you to understand that you have to have that tenacity as a kid and understand failure is part of the process. You face failure because you have taken a step in which others are afraid to do so. You are a lot more farther than a lot of people who have been afraid even to get to that point. Recognize you are putting way too much emphasis on what others think of you, and it needs to stop. Live your life. And I had that phase in my life where I was living my life based on what others expected of me rather than living on my life on my own terms and going after my own ambitious goals. Therefore, I would advise you to best way is to redefine the failure. Stop worrying about what other people will think of you. You know what? They will just cringe and they move on. They will have some other gossips to talk about. They will have some other topics. You had a horrifying moment, maybe you had a failure, but that's okay. That's how you learn. I even now I know I don't think I'm not the I know there are so many other talented speakers out there, but still it's okay. There will be always talented performers than you and me. But you know what? Create anyways. Just do it because you are unique in your own ways and you have to act. Unless you do it, you won't come out of it. So remember, failure is always not always a bad thing. Every failure is one step closer to your success. So, next time when you are in a challenging situation or when a fearful thought comes to, this is one tip which you can already see in my screen, that write it down. What is the worst thing that can happen if I do this? Will I still be better for this experience if I do this? So once you visualize the worst possibilities that can happen with a thing which you want to do, you will realize that the worry will start decrease, and you really want to try it. So once you have resolved to accept the worst, I mean, you no longer have to worry about it. All the stress caused by denial or by refusing the first, it suddenly disappears. Just try it. So, and always think that it is that primitive part of your brain that wants to take over and tamp down each fearful thought. Just try it once. I have done it, and this is one of the tips which I am giving you. And another thing is reframe rejection. As you can see the picture here, a boy is sleeping. I put this picture because of one of my personal experience. I know rejection hurts, it stings, it makes us feel like we are not good enough. Some ways we see, and in order to leverage those moments of pain, I have the best tip is to see this rejection as a projection, a psychological projection. So instead of being afraid of rejection, consider it as your friend. So let me tell you a personal story. And what I mean by projection is that it is a projection of other people's insecurities onto you. So reframe it. And I have a personal story where I don't remember exactly, I was in my third grade or fourth grade. And we went to a school picnic with my friends. I was that introvert girl. I didn't have many friends. I'll just check if you are. Okay, cool. So you see my screen. Okay, fine. Yeah, so I was always that introvert girl, and I just had two of my best friends, and I slept on the bus on the way when we go to the picnic, and I was drooling. You know, this saliva comes, and it was I was leaning against my one of my best friend, and the moment we reached the destination, she stopped talking to me. I didn't understand why, and then the other friend came and told me it's because you did something there, you drooled on her dress, and I didn't even know. I felt ashamed and rejected. I felt denied, and I allowed that moment of rejection to diminish my confidence and my self-esteem. I wanted to gain their approval and acceptance. Yeah, so I would suggest you to reframe the rejection as a projection. It was actually the projection of their insecurities onto me. And I would always advise my kid. I mean, from my experience, I can always tell him because we parents are their cheerleaders. So I hope you will at least do some action, face your fear, and reframe your rejection as a projection next time. And the next tip which I have is don't take it personally. Don't take your rejections personally. I know it is easier said than done. It is a hell of a job in real life. And I'm a person who used to struggle with this. Do you have any idea how many thoughts our brain produces in a day? It's 50,000. And guess how many of it are positive? Only 10,000. So this means 80% of what we think are negative thoughts. So let me give you an example where I have taken things so personally. The days when I started driving back in India, I was scared, but I still tried for it. I drove slowly, and someone driving behind me will start honking, flashing their headlights. I felt hunted. I started taking it personally. I'm not fit to be a good driver. I know I shouldn't, but it happens. And I stopped driving in 2008, and I started all over again last year after so many years. So it was my action, it was not me, it was my action. Even the person don't even know me. So next time when you feel that somebody somebody is telling you, or you feel that it's somebody is avoiding you when you are not invited for a party, don't feel neglected. It's not about you, it's the way you approach them, or they reject your actions. Or when you are attending an interview and you prepared it so well, you attended it so well, but still they rejected you, it's not because of you. Maybe that person had a bad day. Just try to train your brain in such a way that maybe the person had a terrible day, or if maybe something, it was not your fault. Or maybe you can take it also as a learning, like you can get feedback. You cannot be liked by everyone in this world, understand that, and be comfortable with that fact. But being rejected doesn't mean, it doesn't portray your personal trait. Know your worth, understand that you are not a loser. So, train your brain not to take things personally. Instead, it was the circumstances that didn't work. It doesn't reflect you as a person or your ability to achieve things. After all, learn to love yourself. And the next point which I have, which I love, is persistence is the key. I told you there was a reason I put up that picture in my first slide, and it is because this was my I love to bake cakes, and the first picture which you see is my third or fourth, I don't remember. The first two cakes which I baked was, no, I cannot even call it a cake. And the second picture which you see is the are the two cakes which I baked for my 4-year-old son in, yeah, this April. So persistence is the key. Don't stop until you are proud of yourself, because the pain is just temporary. It's like if I had stopped baking cakes that time, I would have never been able to bake these two cakes as per my kids' requirement. So don't stop what you love to do. Don't stop until you're proud of yourself. And can you imagine how many times I'm working as an IT product owner in BMW? Can you imagine how many times I was rejected? We don't see your slides. Okay. Uh, ah. Let me share it again. I don't know why you don't see my screen. Can you see it now? One sec. Okay, cool. So I hope you didn't miss my slides before slides, because I'm always switching between the two slides. Okay, cool. So I was explaining about this cake. This was my third or fourth cake, and this was the second picture is the last cake which I did. Okay, cool. So can you guys guess how many times I was rejected by BMW? Yes, please put it in the chat. I would like to see how many times I was. Oh, your guesses. 2, 2, 4. Okay. Okay. So I was rejected 129 times. I started applying to BMW in 2014 when I reached here in Munich. It was always my dream company. I wanted to. I just, Geetu asked me if I can. Oh, sorry, I didn't go to the full screen. Okay, now I'm always switching between the chat and the PPT. That's why. Okay, so I was rejected 129 times. some of it I didn't even get the interview, but some of the times I got the interview, but still I was rejected. And if I had taken all these rejections personally, and if I had stopped it, I wouldn't have worked now for BMW. So concentrate on what you can control, smartly understand your resources, work hard with optimism, dedication, and persistence. If you fail at many attempts, just bounce back with more enthusiasm and passion. Remember, when you are pulled down, you soar higher, and you show the people when life throws lemon. There is a famous saying: when life throws lemons at you, make whatever you want, whether it marmalade or lemonade, or throw it at the face of the person who have given you the lemons, and until he give you the oranges. And I want you to check out the stories of famous person. And I know everyone of you love, mostly, I don't know, I love KFC chicken. You know how many times his recipe was rejected? It was rejected 1009 times. I think I'm running short of time. Okay, it was rejected thousand, and so I want you to concentrate on what you can control and read about the famous personality. When I was rejected, I was sad. I used to cry, but now the rejection doesn't affect me anymore because, and I also listen to the TED talks. I have to be frank. And the next thing, let me quickly go to the chat as well. Okay, cool. So yeah, now I go to the full screen again. So the next step which I have is keep your eyes on the goal. So unless you have a goal, there is no clear destination. Start by setting up small goals. Write it down in sticky notes. I still have a lot of my goals. I have written it down, and it's like you have to start with small attainable goals. You dream big, but break it down into small manageable steps, and hang it on your walls so that you see it every day. And don't forget to celebrate the small success, some small wins. Otherwise the life would be so frustrating. And celebrate small wins, and it boosts your confidence. Don't focus too much on the end picture so that you forget to celebrate the small wins. And but always keep also an eye on the goal. And the next one, the last slide, not the last slide, but the last tip which I can give you is don't be so hard on yourself. I know the rejection, the failure, it hurts, but whenever you have to vent out, go to a friend or create a support system which you can rely on, and who hear you out without judgment. And so look out for mentors people who inspires you to grow. So emotional support from loved ones adds fuel to your potential and desire to achieve success. And there is no shame in that. There is no shame in sharing your fear of failure to trustworthy friends or family members or loud, because this just adds the fuel to your success and your desire to achieve it. And love yourself. This all trigger you to be successful. And I think that's the last slide. So to sum it up, there is no magical dose which can help you overcome your fear of failure, but your own esteem, consistency, willpower, and persistence. And I hope at least few of you will apply these tips which I have given you, and you have few takeaways, I hope. And what would you attempt to do if you knew that you could not fail? That would be my question. And fail your way to success. I don't know from which part of the world you are, but take the thank you from here, which are in your language, and feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn. So I thank you all for listening to my story, and I hope you could take some tips or some tools which you can apply next time you feel the fear.